Hey there, my name is Joseph Clough, and I want to go ahead and give you some mind training to really allow yourself to feel good, to feel strong, to really take on any challenges that are coming your way. I really believe we can bulletproof the mind so we can actually deal with any circumstance that is coming our way. As the great and late Viktor Frankl said, when you're unable to change the situation, you are challenged to change yourself. So in the same notion, I want us to be able to build something so strong within us, so deeply, so secure, that in any situation that you're in, no matter how much fear or scarcity seems to be around the corner, that you can go through it with certainty. Certainty within yourself and certainty in the future. You see, it's not what's happened in the past, and it's not always what is happening to you. It is the decisions that you make in this moment which will change the path of where you are and where you'll be heading. And it's all on us to be able to do that. And in my opinion, that's good news, because we're not relying upon other people. We're not relying on the circumstance to save us or to help us or to change the inner being of us. It's all on us, which means we have the power to be able to make a difference. To make a difference in your own life, to make a difference in someone else's life. After all, it's always good and great to be the example of what can be done. So once you're that example, you show other people, you give other people permission to do the exact same thing. They have a framework, they see it and they experience it. And that just means they know it's possible. But when it comes to things like, well, Joseph, it's impossible to be able to change my present psychology in these times. Well, as people say, the impossible really means I am possible. I am possible. So yes, we can make a shift in consciousness. We can let go of inappropriate and unwarranted emotions that are not serving us. You see, the emotions that we bring into this present moment aren't just what we're presently reacting to. We're bringing those negative emotions based on the experiences that we've gone through. And we'll go deeper into that soon, because it's really important to realize how your mind works. We were never given the manual to the mind. We were never given or taught at school how to use our unconscious mind for good and for great of where we want to be. We were just never taught it. Maybe we should have been. But whatever it is, and whatever reasons we want, you're about to learn and discover how your brain works. And the more you know how it works, the more power you have. You can cause it to be able to work for you, rather going against you. Because right here, right now, we are inundated with lots of fear, lots of worries, lots of doubts. We see many, many examples in social media, in the news, of all the worst things. We get misinformation. Ultimately, negative news, whether it be true or not, sells. It causes the brain to want to buy things because it is in a fearful state. It needs to do something. So it leads to the consumption of the things what we can buy, which is where the advertising is. You don't always feel like buying things when you're in a crazy state of gratitude, having experienced a beautiful thing which has happened in the world. We just would feel content. We wouldn't need to buy anything because we're like, wow, I'm so pleased to see that positive news story. Everything is just fine. So be cautious of what is really happening, the truth of the experience. And I always like to think, well, who am I listening to? And I always say, followed up, doesn't mean you got to listen to me. But it's important to be conscious of who you are listening to. Are you aware of your conscious input of how you're experiencing the world. When you're scrolling through that Facebook feed, that Twitter feed, that Instagram, are the things that you're consciously and unconsciously, the things you're not reading but your unconscious mind is absorbing, is it good and is it true? Because even if it's true, it might not be always applicable to absorb. It's okay to be aware of information, but it going in unconsciously as we got this short attention span that we're scanning, yet unconsciously we're absorbing all of that information. So be conscious of what you're putting into your system. Yes, when it comes to food, when it comes to certain liquids, but also with the data that is being experienced at any given second. Our brain is always processing information. And we've got to understand the real secrets of the brain. I mean, let's paint this picture for you. If we're to really change our mind, we must be aware of the inner workings of our brain. And I'm not going to go into the crazy details, but I will paint some pictures that will hopefully make you understand something a little bit deeper. You see, at any given moment, we're absorbing information. Whether you're consciously aware of it, most of the time you will not be. It'll be going in at an unconscious level. Now, I'm not even aware of what that present amount per second is these days. It's always changing depending on the studies. But they say like between 2 and even 5 billion bits of information every second our brain is processing. And don't quote me on that, but it is true to a degree. And I don't care even if it was 1,000 things or 500 things. And the reason why I don't care is because consciously, even if it were 500 things, you will not be able to be in control or be able to process that consciously. If you are processing just a minute amount of information, like 500 things, compared to 5 billion, right? You would probably go crazy. You would not be able to be aware of it. Every second, new information is being pumped into your neurology. Where is it pumped in? Well, it's through our 5 senses. Through our eyes, through our nose, through our mouth, through our taste, or which is the mouth, sorry, through our hearing, and also our touch. So I'll say it again. We'll go visual, auditory, kinesthetic, olfactory, and gustatory. Our 5 main senses. So when you're scrolling through social media, when you're listening to the news, you're watching adverts, commercials, if you're speaking to people, if you're driving on the freeway, you're seeing signs everywhere, you're walking down the road, your brain is immersed with data. It is mining data continuously. And it's doing it in such a way which can be extremely positive, but also detrimental to our health. It's detrimental at times. And let me give you an idea. You see, based on, let's just say it was 2 million bits of information. So whether it be 2 million or 5 million, if I said billion, I think it's actually million. But whether it be just say 2 million bits of information every given second, our brain will delete, distort, and generalize that information into smaller pieces because it's very, very hard to understand. We kind of think about it in your minds, like if you're getting all this information in, we're going to try to put it into order. We're going to try to put it into clumps of information to try to make sense of it. So the brain will delete aspects of your reality, it will distort aspects of your reality, and it will generalize aspects of your reality. What are some examples of, say, generalizations? It'll be things like taking 1, 2, 3 experiences and then projecting that out into our future. For example, you go through an interview, you don't do very well, you're very nervous, you didn't get the job. You don't really make much sense of it, but it didn't feel very good. You go to another interview. Same experience happens. You didn't get it, and it didn't feel good. You're worried and anxious and fearful. You go to it in another interview, same experience happens again. Maybe after that third one, maybe it took 5 or 6, but after, say, those 3 events, you might make a judgment that I am always bad at doing interviews. I will always get anxious. So when we say things like it always happens to me, it's a generalization. If we go ahead and say it never works out, never is a generalization. We're taking one thing and we're putting it out to everything. It's how ridiculous things like sexism, racism, ageism, all these things, we can take one experience and generalize it to one person, one race, one sex, and it's absolutely ridiculous. We can generalize negativity into our life. You probably know someone who goes, if it's going to happen to me, Joseph, it's definitely going to be me, because I always get the bad end of the deal. I always have a bad relationship. I'm always in debt. It never changes. It's okay for others, but it's never for me. You might even know that person a bit closer. Maybe you're that person. And if it is you, that's okay to a degree, because I want you to shift that. The first step of changing is being conscious of what needs to be changed. Most of the time, people are going and living their life in the unconscious ignorance and unaware of what's really happening. But when you start to wake up to what's really happening, you will make a shift, the necessary shift to be able to change the path of your life. So our brain will generalize information. It will also distort information. Have you ever had a really good day and then one thing goes wrong at the end of the day, and then you might even go, that was a horrible day. You've distorted and even generalized, if you think about it. You've had a great day, bad thing happens, and now you've distorted that whole day, so generalized it too, that it was a horrible day. Just because of one thing ended not how you liked it. So we can distort aspects of our reality. Want another example? Think of someone who has anorexia. Maybe they've been told that, look, the stats don't lie. You are definitely underweight. You could die. People could be told that. Yet, when they look in the mirror, what do they see? They see maybe someone who is overweight or ugly or horrible, and they will override the truth, the fact, through the distortion of their self-internal representation. So we distort information too. We distort our reality, in other words. And we also delete information. Sometimes you might go, I cannot find my keys. I cannot find them. I've lost them. I've lost them. I've lost them. And you look all over your house to find them, and you cannot see them anywhere. And then a few minutes, 5 minutes, 30 minutes later, you go back to one of the first places you looked, and there they were. They magically reappeared. Maybe it was because you kept on saying that you've lost them and that you cannot find them or cannot see them, that you've hypnotized yourself to delete things. There are other experiences too. Maybe once you've learned a new word. I know it happens to me. I learn a new word and then I suddenly see that word everywhere. Now, did that word just pop into my existence continuously in that first time I've learned it? Absolutely not. My brain has now become aware of something and it will now look for it. But it was always there beforehand, but I was deleting it. And it will delete our unconscious mind, that is, for good reason. Most of the time, anyway. They'll be deleted based on what you don't need to know or what you don't understand. But in other words, if it's not important. That is why sometimes you can go around and decide you want a brand new car. You know the make and model, maybe it's like a Tesla or something. And then suddenly you see that Tesla everywhere. Everywhere you look, it just seems like Teslas are everywhere, or whatever make of car that you choose to decide upon. Because now it's important to you, you know it in your awareness, it's important, so therefore it's undeleted. Therefore, your brain will look for it. So your brain will filter out all that information, delete, distort, and generalize, and it does it on certain categories. Maybe one of the categories will be something like your memories of the past. Maybe if you've had lots of negative, significant emotional events, let's take the example of the failed interviews. Those 3 past events cause the generalization that I'm never good at interviews. So we distort, generalize, and delete based on our past experience. Maybe we've had a bad childhood. Maybe the memory that our teacher said something to us, or a parent or a friend, and that memory has now distorted and deleted how you see the world. Maybe that time that your mother or father said, look, you're never going to make it, or you're not going to be good enough. Do you think that would distort how you see your reality? It absolutely would do. So our past memories will have an effect. Then you think about it. What about those memories? Maybe because of those experiences, we made certain decisions to have fears or phobias. Maybe that event was so significant in the past that the brain unconsciously decided that we're not enough, or we're unable, incapable, not worthy, not deserving. A decision to have a phobia in certain situations, a decision to feel like an imposter in your present job, despite knowing logically, despite everyone telling you you're great and you've got everything going for you, there's that part of us which decides that maybe we're not enough. And there'll be other aspects of how we'll distort and delete and generalize our present reality. In other words, you'll be seeing reality in a certain filter. Are you really seeing the world? Think about it. Are you seeing the world based on what is real, or based on your past programming? Think about it. I think you really know the answer to this, because we see the world subjectively and not objectively. We can never see the world objectively, but we can start to change those filters to start to see the truth. Or we can actually use the delete, distort, and generalizing aspects of our brain for good. Imagine if you generalize that every day you're going to feel better. It's always going to get better. You know you are always more. Generalization. For whatever we think we are, we're always more than that. How can we distort negative situations to our advantage that causes our brain to seek out a solution on autopilot? How can we start to delete the negative aspects of our reality and to focus more on the positive, or the moment, to be able to shift and cause us to move on a different course as well? How we can, it will cause us to shift our course. Now, it is all possible. There are other filters as well, like values and beliefs. So depending if you believe in something or not, let's say you don't believe in yourself, then of course you're going to start to see a lack of opportunity. You're going to delete opportunity. You're not going to go for that job. So remember that the beliefs will make up your world. Let me paint another picture in your mind. Your beliefs will dictate your capacity and your capability, okay? So let's say I don't believe I'm good enough. Now my capacity has dramatically shrunk. It's got smaller. I cannot do enough. I'm not enough, so therefore I can't do much. Therefore, that capability has shrunk so much, it bleeds into my lack, I would say here, behaviors. So my behaviors are now limited because my capacity is limited, because I don't believe I'm good enough. Therefore, what I do in terms of the results that I get will absolutely in every way be small and maybe unsuccessful. We might perceive ourselves to fail at something because we did not get the results. And guess what that does? It goes all the way back and reaffirms and validates your belief of I am not good enough. It goes over and over and over again. So if we really think about it, if we stop the cycle, where would we try to stop it? Would we stop it on when we're getting the results? Would we stop it when it comes to our behavior? Would we try to work on our capabilities? Or would we start working on the beliefs that we have about ourselves? Now, if you're really going to make a change, hopefully you would have chosen the beliefs about yourself, because they dictate the rest of your experience, how you show up in your day, each or in and out, in every way, every experience. So we really must focus on those internal filters first, because the beliefs, the values that we have, that's another filter as well. If we have a high value for family, but maybe it's coupled up with a deep fear of loss or a fear of getting hurt, then that can create an issue. If we have a high value for money, we can still have a high fear level attached to being scarcity. So we might really want it, but we kind of self-sabotage us in every way. So the values are very interesting. And a lot of these things were taught, or you could say imprinted upon us, in the very first 7 years of our life. According to sociology anyway, it's called the imprint age, and we absorb everything going on around us. Some might even say the basis of our identity is formed in those formative years, between 0 and 7. Some even say between 0 and 5. So think about that. What kind of beliefs are we holding about ourselves, which we've held for many, many years? And did we consciously make those decisions to absorb them? Well, not consciously, but somehow, some way, unconsciously, we chose to take them on. Maybe because we took it on as truth unconsciously, based on a parent saying something, a mentor, or being in a highly stressful situation. We don't make good logical decisions. So unconsciously, we would have taken on that belief system, not consciously. So it's not like excusing blame for other people for what they did to us, but we have to admit, somehow, some way, they didn't get into our brain and formulate that belief. We would have had to take it on as truth based on the knowledge and information we had at that moment. So let's be honest with ourselves and think, okay, what filters am I running? What beliefs am I running about myself? What beliefs am I holding on to that were imprinted upon me? And think about the stories we hold about ourselves. Do we hold a certain life story, that life is always hard? That generalization, right? It's always hard. Or that I will never get the relationship. Because the stories we hold upon ourselves are those generalizations, those distortions, and the deletions. So really think about it. What stories do you cling on to? It's a hard question to ask, because it really means maybe giving up that story which we've held on for such a long time. And the other reason why it's hard is because usually those stories have certain reasons attached to them, right? Because of this situation, because of that person. So having that story and that reason usually lets us off the hook. It makes us feel better. And I don't want to anger you here, but you got to really take responsibility now and give up those stories. Because those stories, although they might validate your present situation, give you a reason as to why you are like you are, do you really want that story to keep you where you are? We must move away from the effect of our past experience, the effects of those people, the effect of the economy, the effect of even the present situation, and instead move ourselves to taking responsibility. Because once we assume that responsibility, we now have the ability to change it. It's almost like taking ownership over our life, and that, once again, is good news. If you're forever living in the story, if you're forever living in the reason as to why you cannot live the way you'd like to live, to have that money, to have the abundance, to have the health, the relationship, you can have it all. But if we hold on to those reasons as to why we cannot, it just validates them for continuing to exist in your mind. And once again, your perception creates your reality. Your perception creates your experience to a certain degree. At the very least, how we act and react with our experience, with the external world. So remember, number one, assume responsibility for your life. That is the good news. Once again, it is good news that you wake up to that fact, that you do not have to live in the story of your pain. You don't have to live in the excuse or the reason. What you do here now is the most important thing you'll ever do for yourself, which is assuming that responsibility. In fact, my favorite quote, once again, from Viktor Frankl, said, "When you are unable to change the situation, you are challenged to change yourself." Who is that Viktor Frankl, or who was he past? He was in the concentration camps. So if someone can go through such a horrific story, a horrific life experience, but have a different story, rather just being a product of that, he chose to be a product of something else, where he came out with that quote. But when we're unable to change a situation, we're challenged to change yourself. So are you ready to challenge yourself to something bigger and greater, to assume that responsibility? Think about it. This is your time to decide and to declare something new. Because if we go back to that image in our mind of taking in all that information through our five senses, through which our brain deletes, distorts, and generalizes based on our beliefs, our values, our memories, our decisions that we've made in the past, and there's a few others there as well, but those are the real main ones. It will create the internal representation of how you see your present world, your present situation. That is the set of filters that you're looking through. That, in turn, has an effect on your physiology. In other words, your body, the mind-body connection. And that mind-body connection will show up in how you act and react and the results you get. But if we go ahead and change one filter, that one belief system maybe of I am not good enough to absolutely I am good enough, our capacity grows, we see a new world. We literally see new opportunities. We see the new self and we step into our internal power. That is what we must do. That is what we must decide and declare. And if you want to know more about the mind and body connection, do this exercise with me. It's something that I do on my events. I want you to stand up. And as you stand up, I want you to put your hands directly in front of you. Okay, so you're just putting your hands and your arms directly in front of you. And as you're just kind of like allowing them to point in front of you, without overstretching, of course, I want you to imagine just pivoting as much as you can to the right. Almost as if like you're just having your arms straight out and then moving those arms all the way around to maybe 45 degrees and then 90 degrees, and just notice how far you can go back without stressing, okay, without putting strain on the body, just nice and gentle, and make a little marker in your mind where you actually allowed those hands to just pivot all the way around to your right. So clockwise, and then allow those hands to just gently come all the way round again, so your hands are directly in front of you, and then put those hands on top of your lap. Now, here's what we're going to do. I want you to close your eyes for a second, and this time do the exact same thing, but imagine it. Do not move those hands or put them up in front of you. Keep them by your side, wherever they are, but imagine those hands going up in front of you, and imagine them going all the way round clockwise again, going 90 degrees, going 180 degrees, and then going all the way around that bit more. And as you put them all the way around, just past the place where you originally got to physically, then imagine those hands going all the way back in front of you, So they're just there, and then imagine those hands going down to your side again or to your lap. Now go ahead and do it again. Put those hands up, and then in your mind, this is, once again, in your mind only, not physically. Go ahead and put those hands up, and then imagine them pivoting all the way around clockwise, going all the way around, past where you first originally did it physically, all the way around, even further this time, all the way around. So you're almost like an owl going like 360 degrees, and then go all the way back. Imagine going further and further, all the way back round again. Going back past that old position, going all the way around in front of you. So your hands, you imagine them being right there. And then you can go ahead and imagine putting those hands down. Now, one more time, let's imagine this. Not physical, just imagine. Put your hands all the way up in your mind, and then imagine them going all the way around. You're like an owl going all the way around, and it almost goes past 360 degrees, and you're just spinning all the way around, and it's like, wow, this is crazy, right? And now imagine those hands going way past, and then imagine going all the way back, slowly, all the way back in front of you. So they're going anti-clockwise back to the position right out in front of you, and allow those hands to go in your mind to your lap or your side. Now, open your eyes and physically do it by putting your arms out and go clockwise again, and notice how far you go this time. Go ahead and test. Now, I'm going to presume you might be thinking, oh my goodness, I went so much farther. Because this is the mind-body connection. Your unconscious mind, your brain, cannot distinguish most of the time between truth, as in reality, and imagination. You imagine going beyond your boundaries, so you gave your unconscious mind permission to do so. So remember, the mind and body is so important. Your thoughts have an effect on your physical symptom. They are always eavesdropping. I think Deepak Chopra wrote that in the book Quantum Healing, that the brain or the mind, the unconscious, is always eavesdropping on your thoughts. So when you have that thought that I am not enough, your physical body even feels that too. When you have that thought of worry or fear, your body feels that worry and fear too. Most of the time, the chain of good health is broken by stress. Stress is not good for us. We know that. And where does the stress come from? How we act and react to the external world based on those inner filters. But if we wake up and make a decision to change, to do something else, to be different, you will make the change of your life. You will grow and become the person you were meant to become. You can step into your power. You can step into your strength. You just have to make that decision right here to change the tide, to double down on yourself. You see, on this podcast, there are so many episodes. Free hypnosis, there's coaching. If you doubled down on yourself and went all in on them, you would make dramatic, profound changes. You might even want to invest in yourself, maybe enroll in our program, 8-week program. We let go of whatever you're experiencing as long as it's in with the people we work with, which is the business and the career development side. So we let go of things like imposter syndrome, the beliefs of not feeling worthy and good enough. But either way, there are a ton of resources in this program. In this podcast. There are so many that you can be able to get the life that you want. Remember, now you know how the brain works. It takes in that information, it filters it out based on those beliefs and values and memories and decisions of the past, and it creates that internal image. That internal image has an effect on how you really, really feel and how you act and react. You see, most people just try to change their environment. you're not going to ever live a happy life if you go from relationship to relationship, to job, from one health issue to another. Changing your environment might temporarily fix it, but if it's underlying within you, you're just not doing it right. The other thing people try to change is their behavior. Changing your behavior is not the problem. The next thing they try to change is probably their capacity. Not going to happen. The thing that you really must change are the beliefs and your identity, because your identity and your beliefs will dictate those capacity, that capability will dictate therefore your behavior and therefore how you show up in your environment. Remember, this is your life. You should not have to live in pain. You should not have to live in a prison of your own mind. More often than not, we're building these cages within us. We're building the cage that we're living in. That ever negative thought, that constant internal battle, is just reaffirming the inner prison that we're living in. But you also have the key to unlock it, to open that gate, to open that door, and step straight through on the other side. Will it be scary? Sometimes, because we've maybe have an identity to our issue. We've lived by that story for so long. But just because it's scary, it doesn't mean we shouldn't do it. We're probably feeling scared more often than not, being worried and anxious, self-sabotaging our success. So maybe a little bit more of that scariness is okay as long as we get it done with. Within you have the unlimited resources, but you have to be the conscious decider of what you're going to do, when you're going to do it, and how you're going to do it. Most people just focus on the how, and the how can just paralyze you because guess what? You don't know how to change. It is part of the issue. What you have to do is decide on what you want, that you're ready to give up that story. You're ready to find all the reasons as to why you must change right here, right now. Come up with so many reasons that it makes you not let yourself off the hook. But you figure out all the things it will get you, all the things if you stay the same. And if that doesn't motivate you, I don't know what will, because you have to decide that. And then you've got to double down on who you are on the inside. Really consider who you do really want to be. Do you want to be the excuse maker? Do you want to be the person who just is like on the sidelines? Or do you want to start living life? You see, you have everything. Even as all world events show us differently, this is our time to focus on ourselves. This is the time to cultivate our mind so it supports us in any environment. The person with the most flexibility, in other words, their ability to adapt to their environment, will always survive, will always thrive. Those who are fixed in place, who are totally rigid and just live by their story, will remain the same. They will not be able to adjust or adapt. But you have the ability. If time is something that we have, then we go ahead and go all in and invest in that time. Even if you have no finances to invest in yourself, you do have time. And it's better to invest now with that time than regretting it when we don't have much time left. That's the thing which keeps me up, thinking that, oh my goodness, I didn't do or be the person I wanted to become at the end of our life. That's not very nice. I don't like that thought, so I double down on myself right now. And I want that for you. I want you to shine. I want you to grow, because within you, you can become the victor rather than the victim. You can choose to shine. You can choose to allow yourself to grow and adapt and just be the person you've always wanted to be. You see, even if you don't know how, decide on what you want, that outcome. Because more often than not, those inner filters are focusing on what you don't want. I hope I don't have another bad relationship. We've talked about this, right? I hope I don't look silly. I hope I don't fail. I have a fear of failure and fear of success. That internal mindset, that representation that you play in your mind, that internal dialogue attracts just the same. It's called the power of focus. Do you remember when I said when you decide to learn, or when you learn that new word, you see it everywhere? If you decide to buy that car, you see it everywhere. That is the reticular activating system in our brain. But guess what? More often than not, our brain is focused on the negative. And the anxiety that we have about what might happen, all the worst case scenarios, is trying to protect you from them. But guess what as well? We don't need it as much as we do it. Maybe that anxiety and worry and fear would have been more valid when we're hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years ago, when we had to look out for every corner. But we are living in the safest time. Yes, world events happen, but we're still safer than other periods in the entirety of our existence. We have the ability more often than not to walk down the road and feel safe, to have people to protect us, to have a roof, to have electricity, to have forms of medication. I know it doesn't happen everywhere, but if you add all things up, the chances are you are a ton safer than our ancestors way, way back. So the anxiety we have, of course, is overwhelming and inappropriate, and it's almost like that superhero in our mind jumping to the worst conclusion in a single bound. We've got to retrain that. Can it take time? Absolutely. Does that matter? No. Because like I said, we've got time. It's better than a lifetime of pain of being in the issue. So the power of focus is whatever you put your attention on, you will seek out more of the same. So be conscious of your thoughts. Notice the thoughts that you're having and do whatever you can to change them. To focus on gratitude, to focus on what can be done. Focus on how you can change your emotional states. Because the keys to success is to know your outcome in how you want it to be. Don't focus on the how. Focus on how you want to be, not how you'll get it. Because once you decide what you want, your brain will start to look for those similar things. It's like a satellite navigation system. What's the first thing you do? You put in the destination, and then that computer in that satellite navigation or in Google Maps or whatever map system you use, it will find the route from that destination all the way to where you are in the most quickest, profound way. It will try to avoid the toll roads, the traffic and all those things on your behalf. Well, your brain, your unconscious mind does the same thing. But guess what? Right now, anxiety is like putting in all the places that you don't want to go in your satellite navigation. I don't want to go here, I don't want to go here, don't want to go here, and then that satellite navigation taking you to each one of those before you get to your ideal destination. We must think good, logical ideas and destinations. So focus on what you want and allow your brain to figure out the rest. Yes, use all these other episodes. Yes, invest in yourself. I don't mind with me or with other people. Absolutely do that. But you got to focus on what you want in the positive. Even if you consciously have to keep reminding yourself, break that habit, break that pattern. The other second thing we must do is take massive and inspired action. You see, once you know your outcome, we don't just sit back and relax. Oh, I know my outcome, it's going to be okay. It's like thinking that you're going to win the lottery and not buying the lottery ticket. If you're going to win the lottery, you're going to take action and buy the ticket. I don't suggest doing the lottery, by the way, because you are your best bet to really double down on yourself. So go ahead and take massive and inspired action. What 3 things can I do today which will move me more along than I was yesterday? If you just have that framework of those 3 things I can do today, you will build up interest in your transformation. because that means you're doing compound interest transformation. What do I mean by that? Well, if you increase yourself getting better by just 1% every day, you won't change in 100 days to get that 100%. Because once you're 1% better tomorrow, another 1% is actually bigger. So that compound interest within yourself grows fantastically, majestically, profoundly, and magically. So keep asking yourself, what 3 things can I do today? How can I feel gratitude in this moment? What are 10 things I have gratitude for? Every day you do that, you're moving forward and your transformation grows. So know your outcome, take massive and inspired action right here, right now. There is a ton of things you could be doing with your time. There are a ton of things you can do to grow your relationship, to grow your business, to grow your career, to grow your spiritual connection, to grow your personal development connection, to grow your bank account. Time is something that we all have. We create it. We manage it. We quit things which do not support us. Is massive inspired action going to Netflix or to Facebook or to Twitter or to your own personal development? I think I know the answer to that one, and that's your personal development. So sometimes you have to quit doing things, quit things which do not serve you. Because sometimes as well on those social media things, we are just inundated with other people's stories. Have you noticed that sometimes you can be emotionally invested into people that you've never seen in the last 10 years, but you just used to go to school with them? It's like you're renting out room in your mind and not getting paid for it. It just seems like people are just occupying your mind. Start doing good logical decisions and focus on yourself. Let go some of that. It doesn't mean quit at all. I'm not saying quit Netflix. I like movies. I love movies. But you know what? I'm going to focus on myself first, get the good stuff done, get the achievement, and then maybe relax with a movie. Not relax with a movie and then maybe I'll work on myself, or maybe I've just checked Facebook for the 10th time today. And I'm being pretty strong and hard here because I want you to thrive. This is the opportunity to become adaptable, to take massive inspired action on yourself, to do what must be done. This is your opportunity to do what must be done. Get the life that you want. So know your outcome, take massive and inspired action, and then be aware of the results you're getting. I think Einstein said is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result is the definition of insanity. I'll say it again because I was just thinking about it in my mind there. So, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result is the definition of insanity. So once you're taking massive inspired action, doing those 3 things every day, if you notice that it's not moving you closer, do something else. Incorporate something else into your daily routine. Let go of something else. Reduce something, increase something. Seek out more help from external people. Seek out anything you can, but do something different if you're not getting the same result, or if you're getting the same results, as in the non-results. The other thing, having now known our outcome, take massive inspired action, and also being aware of the results. If they're not good, have that behavioral flexibility to do that other thing. Like I said, interpret things differently. How can I think differently? What can I do differently? What can I incorporate? What can I moderate? What can I reduce? What can I increase? Whatever it is, you keep on adapting, and refining. You need to tune into the radio station which gives you the most bliss. And I don't mean an actual radio station. I mean tuning in with your thoughts. The chances are you're tuning into the radio stations that we don't like when it comes to our thoughts. Fine-tune your thoughts. Keep modifying your thoughts so you get the consistent results. And then make sure you are protecting your system, your mind and your body. Because as you go ahead, you're going to be faced with challenges. People out there will try to be the doom and gloom. They'll try to spread their own story into your mind. But you do not have to allow that to be the case. So ask yourself, who am I listening to? Am I listening to other people, other people's stories, and taking it on as truth? Or am I going to go and listen to my internal voice and go, I deserve more. I want to be more. I want success. I want to grow. I want to feel great within my mind and body. I want great relationships. So always ask that question. And I don't care if you're saying, I'm not going to listen to Joseph. That's fine by me. It's none of my business. And that means as well that other people's opinions of you, my friend, are not your business. Stop being so emotionally and mentally invested of what you think people want from you. The sad thing is they're probably doing the exact same thing and they don't even care about those things that you've been thinking. It's one of those weird paradigms. We think that people are thinking things about us, but guess what? They're just doing the same and they have no idea of what opinions they have of you. And even if they do overtly push upon their agenda, their stories, their reasons, excuses, you must assume responsibility to say no. Even if you don't verbalize it, inside you're going, I'm not taking this on as my story. That doesn't have to be my reality. I'm doubling down on what I can be done, who I'm going to be, where I'm going to be, how I'm going to change, what I want to experience. You must assume that responsibility. You must do what has to be done. Double down on yourself in times that you cannot change the external. Once again, when we're unable to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. That is the philosophy we should be adopting into our mind and our body and our daily routine. Are you breathing? Are you breathing deeply? Are you just embracing the moment? Are you having your gratitude list? Are you listening to things which allow your mind to grow with the beautiful thoughts about yourself? Or are you putting your mind in other people's business? Are you putting in your mind in the weeds and not the flowers? That is the beautiful thing we have, which is the power of choice, the free will of ourself. You just got to step up, decide upon it, and really take that massive inspired action. Your life is so precious. You see, life is the longest thing we'd ever do, but it's also getting shorter every single minute. So this is the perfect opportunity to embrace the beauty of you and really get the life that you want. Dream big, make those good decisions. And even if they get so big that you start to get fearful of them, then break them down. Have the big dream in your mind that then come up with other ways of breaking it down into smaller chunks that gives you those quick wins. Let me tell you exactly what I mean by this as an analogy. Let's say we have right now that you're in a hot tub, okay? It's a weird analogy, but if you're in a hot tub and it's just your body temperature, it's comfortable. It's not hot, it's not cold, it's comfortable. But then way on the other side of the room is the most beautiful hot tub. It's so big and so grand. And you're like, I want that one. But as you get out of your hot tub, you jump into that other one and it's so hot that you just jump right back out. It's too hot to handle. Imagine that as your goal, right? It's just so big and so grand, too hot, too extreme, too bold that you feel like I can't achieve that. I can't get in that hot tub. Well, what we'd do is probably then usually retreat and give up and just go back to the same hot tub that we've always been used to, our comfort zone, the normal temperatured water. But if you're like me, you probably want that still, but you don't want to self-sabotage yourself, keep on going for it and then getting scolded or burnt. So here's what you do. You go ahead and build alternative hot tubs which increasingly get hotter and hotter, and you go into the first one and it's just a little bit warmer than the one you just left. You get used to that one and you go to the next one. You get used to that one, you go to the next one. Every day you're increasing that temperature by going into the next hot tub. And then by the time you get to that big one, you go in it and it's just a little bit hotter because you've conditioned yourself to get those small wins and to adapt. How can we apply this to your goal that you've just began to dream about? Well, you build in these micro goals, goals which you get real good acknowledgement and satisfaction. It gives you the quick small wins that builds momentum. So if you have big goals that you start to self-sabotage yourself with because they are way too big, have that big goal, but create micro goals in between that if you achieve the next one tomorrow, it will build momentum. It'll give you the yes, it will give you the I can do this, let's go for the next one. Build that momentum and you will shine and you will grow. In this time right here, we are ready to shine. Now you're either with me or we can remain the same. I want you to be with me on this one and go, I am ready to shine. So verbally say it out loud, say it on the inside that I am ready to shine. I'm ready to do whatever it takes to be the person I've always wanted to become. This is your time and your opportunity to shine and grow and be who you've always dreamt of being. You see, you do not have to be destined to the same old. When I experienced my old limiting beliefs of not being good enough or worthy, I was like, this is who I was. I'm never going to change. But then I decide I'm going to create something different. You see, I can evolve myself, I can create myself, I can build myself. It doesn't have to be dependent on other people. I can just create within me. You're just not like a magical change or something. It's you build it. You build yourself. The person you hear right now compared to 19 years ago is completely different. The person back then couldn't speak to 3 or 4 people. This person right here and right now can get on stage and speak in front of 500 people, 1,000 people have done it, and I enjoy it. I love it. And I'm also a very introverted person. That's my preference. But I can do it and I love it. It's the adaptability that I've built, and I do not say that to impress you, but to impress upon you. If I can do it when I was living in deep fear, battling myself each and every day, living a life of scarcity and self-doubt, worry and self-sabotaging behaviors, always feeling like an imposter in my own mind and body. If I can do it, yes, you can too. So now is your chance to make that change and do what has to be done. So decide and declare it. And let's go ahead and make this change right here and right now.